Finally, Shazam was released in theaters, and I say finally because I saw this early. I gave a review for it early. It's still on my channel if you want to watch that, non spoilers. But this one is spoilers, and now I get to talk about some of the nice DC Easter eggs and Shazam goodness. Like, for example, at the beginning, we get a full blown Dr. Savannah origin. I was not expecting this. I love Mark Strong as an actor, and I love when he plays villains because he's great at that. So I wasn't doubting that he would be good in the movie, but I wasn't sure if the character, if the villain himself would be fleshed out, if he would have a thorough backstory, a thorough characterization. Every superhero film, you kind of get worried, is this villain going to be generic? Is he going to have the same typical motivations that you've seen 100 times? Or is there going to be something different with it? And this was definitely something different. You saw him as a little kid, and he was chosen by the wizard, and he winds up in the lair, but he gets tested to see if he can resist the evil powers, and he doesn't resist it, so then he's rejected. He's cast out, thrown out to say, you can't have these powers. And his father and his brother, they get into a car accident. His father, by the way, played by John Glover, which I'm sure a lot of people know from Smallville, or even his part in Batman and Robin. Let's not talk about that. Him coming back for his father, wanting to get revenge on him years and years later. And then the seven deadly sins, they're the ones who are manipulating him and who are having him do what they want him to do. And they tell him to go after Shazam. Asher Angel as Billy Batson, I thought was great as well. I liked his story about how he lost his mother. You see the flashback of when he remembers losing her. But when I first watched this, I thought, wow, that just seemed way too easy, of how the mother lost him and didn't come back for him, and how after all these years, she never went out to look for him. It seemed odd. But it was still a great motivation for Billy to go out and find her. He was looking through at all of the names and going from house to house and just longing for her. So the moment when he finally does get to her and confronts her, and he finds out, she tells him that she purposely just left him there. She saw him with the cops. Okay, I can't do this. They'll probably provide a better life for him. And she seems like she might be a junkie, or at least not in the great life situation. So that was sad. Seeing Billy's reaction to that rejection, that years of just everything thrown in his face. You do feel for the kid. Zachary Levi as Shazam. I love his charisma. I loved his energy. I love the level of what he's bringing to this role. You could tell that Billy, maybe when he's a kid, he has so much angst, he has so much pent up aggression and just wanting to shoo people away. But when he becomes a superhero, when he becomes an adult, that's where his real personality shines. That's where he gets to be who he wants to be. It's almost like Peter Parker and Spider-Man. When Peter Parker is Spider-Man, that's when he's at his most fun. That's when he's at his most jokey. The superpowers testing scenes were always great. Because if you just suddenly became a superhero, even if I became a superhero and got powers, I would want to figure out, what type of powers can I do? What are your limits? You've never really seen a superhero movie in origin think to themselves, what can I do? How endless are my powers? Let me have a checklist of things that I can and cannot do. Great dynamic and great scenes with Freddy, the two of them going back and forth, not just with the powers, but when he goes and he's stopping criminals on the streets, stopping robbers, that convenience store when Billy goes to buy beer and then he finds out that he has bullet immunity. We can skip ahead to the end of the movie where the foster kids, you see them gain Shazam powers. And that's very interesting. I was surprised they did this in the first movie. I know that this is a plot point in the comic books and that these characters do exist. And I will say that they look great. When you saw which character became who and the casting for them, I was pleasantly surprised. And look, maybe you could argue that the first movie, this shouldn't have happened. Maybe you could argue that they should have saved this for the sequel. But I almost applaud them. they said, hey, we don't know if we're going to get a sequel, so let's just throw it in this first film. And I thought the effects of them having to fight all of those demons in the carnival looked great. And let's talk about the Easter eggs, though. There's plenty of Easter eggs. For example, when Billy is talking to the wizard, and the wizard is trying to convince him to take his powers and say his name and whatnot, he tells Billy about the first person who took the Shazam powers, and he said that they chose unwisely, and this guy took the powers, went evil, went off and destroyed a bunch of places. And so they never said him by name, but I'm pretty sure they were talking about Black Adam. The representation, the hologram figure that they showed of him, he was wearing a hood, so therefore it's not like you can tell if it was The Rock or not, but still, I'm pretty sure we're building up Black Adam. That's coming. Obviously, the Batarang played a huge part of this film. I liked how they not only referenced Batman, but they used the Batarang as a weapon a couple of times. Superman was referenced in the newspaper, and they always name dropped him when Billy was trying to learn how to fly, and so that was nice. But the very, very end of the film, where you saw Superman walk into the lunchroom, and look, you didn't see his face, you didn't see Henry Cavill. That was a little upsetting, because I would have liked to have seen Henry Cavill. I know there was negotiations. I know that they did try to get him. I know Henry Cavill is weary about coming back to this role because of how much DC has messed up with their movies, or especially the handling of Superman as well. So I get the hesitation. I'm glad that they didn't at least recast Superman and show a new Superman, show his face, and show that this isn't Henry Cavill anymore. They still left the possibility that Cavill could come back. But as nice as this was, as funny as this was, I do think it's a missed opportunity to maybe save the very first meeting between Superman and Shazam. I mean, imagine Clark Kent meeting Billy Batson as a child, and he's talking to him and being his mentor. And then when Billy becomes Shazam and he's going around doing stuff, Superman himself shows up, and that's how they meet. Superman helping him. So that's sort of ruined here because now they've already met and they've already known each other. But who knows? Maybe the sequel can configure a way to make that happen, to make that seem more natural. So guys, let me know in the comments below. Spoiler talk here. What did you think of Shazam? What's your favorite moment? What do you like or what do you dislike? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!